You look at your life and you say to yourself, well, I've already given everything, so what's the point of going on? But let me tell you something. What you've been through, what you've endured, what you've left behind along the way, that doesn't define you. It's not your ceiling, it's your starting point to bounce back. There's something I've never really said, not in my videos, not on Insta, not even to my closest friends. Actually, I almost gave it all up. The gym, coaching, content creation, the business, just everything, really. At one point, I just wanted to lay down my arms to tell myself, I'm going to disappear, close the door, and just breathe. And that didn't just happen once or twice, but dozens, maybe even hundreds of times, and perhaps thousands of times, at least in my head. So there's the story that people know, the back surgery, the spondylodiscitis, the 3 months I spent bedridden. In the hospital, unable to move, the doctors who said I might never walk again. And me lying in that bed, telling myself, that's it, maybe this is the end. Bodybuilding, coaching, the stage, work. I really thought that everything was going to end right there. But there are also, and especially all the other times. The ones you don't necessarily see, the struggles with paperwork, especially visas, related to my move to the USA more than 13 years ago now, the battle to get my green card, and then American citizenship. In short, every rejection, every no, every moment when I almost gave up and went back to France with a knot in my stomach, wondering if I hadn't made a huge mistake by leaving home and dropping everything overnight. And there was also the obstacle course. To get the famous IFBB Pro card, the 5 overall wins required years of extreme discipline. And every time I got on stage, without winning the title or ended up in second place, I doubted myself even more, and yet in the end, I went back again. And even today, when you might think I have an amazing life with 2 villas, a Lambo, an extraordinary family, and above all, a life I built from scratch, well, sometimes I just wonder if I shouldn't just stop everything, if maybe I should just ease up, slow down, because sometimes you're alone, you're there at your desk or in your room, and you still feel an emptiness. You don't even know why you keep going. You train because you've always done it for almost 30 years. You create content because that's what people expect from you too, but deep down, you kind of feel tired, worn out. And it's been more than 10 years now that I've also been making videos, but it's true that I really went through that moment. And it's not just a matter of being tired or lacking motivation. It's a moment when you look at your life and you ask yourself, what's the point? What am I still chasing after? What am I trying to prove? And above all, for whom? And because it's hard, for sure, at some point it also feels endless. It drains your energy too, your vital energy. But I know deep down, if I stop, if I give up everything, I'm basically dying a slow death, simply because I was forged through effort. It's always been that way because I built this life with the sweat of my brow, with tears, with rage. And because, even if it's hard sometimes, that's what makes me feel alive. And in the end, it's even harder once you're past 40. You don't have the same priorities at all anymore. You're not a kid anymore and you have children too, or a child, at least in my case, a wife, responsibilities. And you're not allowed to break down either because you're supposed to be the pillar of the family, the rock, the example. But what no one tells you is that even pillars can crumble one day. Even the tough guys, the disciplined, the straight-laced ones, well, they all have moments of doubt at some point. And you know what? Well, that's completely normal actually. It's logical. So if you're over 40, or even younger for that matter, but you're going through a time when you're doubting yourself, when you feel like throwing everything away, quitting it all, I still want you to know one thing. It's not abnormal at all. It's not a weakness or anything like that. It's just proof that you're alive and that you're at a turning point in your life, that you're in the process of changing. Your body is supposed to be your armor. For me, it had always protected me, always obeyed me. Since I was 14, when I started doing push-ups and sit-ups in my room, I've shaped my body through sweat, pain, and discipline. And one day, it let me down. It was in December 2017, I was at the peak of my professional career, and I had surgery for a herniated disc that I'd been dealing with since I was 14. Up to that point, nothing extraordinary on paper. Just, in the end, a routine procedure for a guy who gave everything for years, except the operation goes wrong. Very, very wrong. And I leave the hospital with an infection. Spondylolisthesis, a nasty thing I picked up there. And that's when it starts, the descent into hell. So 3 months lying down, unable to move from my hospital bed, not even able to turn over, not even able to go to the bathroom. I was in pain all the time, even on morphine. Then they moved me into a wheelchair so I could get some fresh air from time to time. I was incapable of doing anything on my own, and the doctors thought it was just post-operative swelling. And in fact, I was simply having my spine eaten away by that damn bacteria. So I was the one who decided to change hospitals because I knew something was wrong. And it was there in this new hospital that they finally found the infection. So I started an intensive antibiotic treatment. And of course, I had a severe allergic reaction. So it began, one hospitalization after another, and so on. I ended up trapped in my own body when I used to be so fit, lean, disciplined, and ready for anything. I couldn't even put on my socks by myself anymore, obviously. I couldn't do anything at all on my own. And at that point, of course, yes, I had serious doubts, and I told myself, that's it, it's over. Not just sports, the stage, obviously, forget about that. But then I saw a huge emptiness. I saw nothing actually. And I assure you that's really scary when you've spent your life running, searching, pushing yourself, striving, moving forward. But somewhere inside there was something in me that refused to end things like that. So, well, I simply started over slowly. When I was able to leave the hospital with my walker, I would do push-ups and dips on it, and then I started attaching resistance bands to it. And after that, I went back to the gym, at first, training on guided machines. And then, well, it was Marjorie who would load the machines for me, little by little, so I could slowly start training again. And you know what? 2 years later, I got back on stage in San Marino, Italy, on a professional stage. So, IFBB Pro, and in the classic physique category. So, I wasn't necessarily the best, I wasn't at my peak, but on the other hand, I was in the best shape of my life. I just wanted to prove to myself, actually, that it was possible, that I hadn't given up. And that day, I understood something. Your body can betray you. Your motivation can falter too, but if you have a strong enough reason why, then you always come back. And I thought that getting back on stage one last time would solve everything, that it would finally close the loop. And that was the goal from the start, that it would erase months and months of suffering, of hospitals, of pain, and so on. So I got back on stage one last time in Italy, in the Pro Classic Physique category. And in my head, I was telling myself, that's it, mission accomplished. Except that in reality, once I got home, well, there was nothing left at all. No more fire, no more satisfaction, just a kind of emptiness. And you spend years with a goal in mind. You sacrifice everything for it. Your comfort, your social life, your energy, sometimes even your relationship. And when you reach it, you think you'll find inner peace. But actually, peace doesn't always come with victory. And that's when I started asking myself the real questions. Why am I still training? Why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? And am I doing it for the right reasons? Am I doing it for others? Am I doing it for the image or for myself? And I went through a sort of drifting phase. I kept going to train, of course. I kept posting. I kept creating content, coaching, managing my businesses. But there was an inner distance, as if I was there without really being there. I was that muscular, inspiring guy on paper. But in the end, inside, I was searching for meaning, searching for a new why, one that isn't based on a physique, a trophy, or a stage. And you know what I actually discovered? It's that your true mission actually begins after the spotlight, precisely when you no longer need to prove anything, when you do things because you deeply believe in what you're sharing. And I realized that real discipline isn't the one that gets you on that stage. It's actually the one you maintain day after day, even when you no longer have a deadline, when there's no more audience, no more validation, when it's just you with yourself, with your mirror, and the mission you've set for yourself. And we often think that once you've succeeded, you're set, that you finally reached a point where you're at peace. But that's completely false. Today, I have 2 beautiful villas, one in Miami, one in the south of France. I have my Lambo, I have my Maserati, and above all, I have an amazing and incredible family. But despite all that, well, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, Julien, why do you keep checking off all the boxes you wanted? Are you still going to chase after the next goal, the next milestone? What will it be? Until when? And at what cost too? Because in the end, actually, the truth is that Ambition is a bit of a double-edged sword because it propels you, of course, it pushes you to surpass yourself, but it also eats you up inside because you want more, you always want more. And so it becomes a never-ending cycle. I could sell everything, I could slow down, stop completely, and just go on vacation all year for the rest of my life, enjoy life with my wife, my son, and finally make the most of my time. And yet I know that I would actually be unhappy because I have this need for meaning. I need to build, I need to pass things on. It's inside me. It's like a fire that burns within me, which is sometimes exhausting, I admit, which sometimes wakes me up at night, which sometimes keeps me from switching off, and which sometimes also makes me feel guilty when I slow down. And that no one ever tells you about. So yeah, people might think I have it all, but I also have moments when I tell myself, well, maybe you've done it all. Maybe you could just lay down your arms just like that. But what I've realized is that I'm not made to stop at all. I'm not made to live life on cruise control. I'm made to make an impact, to inspire, to carry out a mission. Not just to be happy, but to be aligned. So I realized that I couldn't just stop everything because I need that spark. I need something to ground me. And do you know what my foundation has always been? Well, it's weight training, obviously. But not weight training like they sell it to you in ads or magazines. Not the kind for 20-year-olds who just want to be fit for the summer. No, I'm really talking about weight training, especially after 40, the kind that becomes essential when you have a life, a family, when your body is changing, and above all, when you need to keep your mind strong. And the truth is, the older you get, the more you need to train, but not like before, and not for the same reasons either. At 43, well, I see it every day. You wake up with aches, your back feels tight, and you haven't necessarily slept 8 hours. In fact, that almost never happens. Your little one might have woken you up at 5 in the morning sometimes. You have to be there for him, for your wife, to run your business, to fulfill your role as a father, a coach, a man. And despite all that, you still have to keep moving forward. And you don't want to mess around anymore. You don't have time for nonsense. No more useless programs, miracle methods, or extreme diets. What you want now is truly a body that keeps up. And above all, a system that lasts, a strong mindset and steady energy. And most importantly, self-respect. Because at our age, you don't just want to change your physique anymore. No, you don't just want to impress people. You don't care about that anymore. You want to be aligned and strong in your mind, present for your family above all, and able to fulfill and own your role as a man day after day. So today, I'm not training for a scene. Far from it, I don't train for a magazine, social media, or anything like that. I train simply because I know that if I stop, I won't just gain a little bit of fat. I'll become anxious, I'll become less patient, I'll become less clear-headed, I'll lose my mental structure. And I can't allow that. Not for myself, not for my son, not for my wife. And it's something I need. It's not something I can just stop like that. It's not a luxury. It's truly a duty for me. It's a mission I carry because a man who doesn't take care of himself, in the end, always ends up collapsing sooner or later. And what nobody tells you is that bodybuilding after 40 is no longer a passion, but a survival strategy. And ultimately, a form of resistance. If you're still here, if you've watched this video up to this point, it's because you understand that what I'm saying resonates with you. At least I hope so. Maybe it even gave you chills. Because you too, well, maybe you've been through that. Maybe even right now, you're at that point, you're tired, you're doubting yourself, you're wondering if you still have the energy to keep going, plain and simple. You look at your life and you say to yourself, well, I've already given everything, so what's the point of continuing? But let me tell you something. What you've been through, what you've endured, what you've left behind along the way, that doesn't define you. It's not your ceiling, it's your starting point. You're not done for, you're not too old, you're not late. But at some point, you do have to make a choice. Either you keep letting yourself slowly slip away, turning off the light, getting used to this mental fatigue, this lack of motivation, this belly that's settling in, these love handles, to that voice telling you it's too late, or you say stop and take back control, because real renewal, real transformation doesn't start with a training plan or a magic diet. No, it starts with a real decision, a damn decision to become the man you want to be again. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to take that first step. You have the right to have doubted, you have the right to have slowed down, you even have the right to have given up at some point. But today, you also have the right to decide to come back, to get back in the game as they say, for yourself, for your family, to become again the man you may have set aside. So if you feel like this is the moment, just write Renaissance in the comments, and then I'll know you've really made the right decision. Not to change the world, no, but to take back control of your own. And if you need a starting point, a simple structure, without any hassle, I've put a link in the video description to my app, Metamorphics, where you'll find all my programs, my diet plans, my advice, my exclusive videos and programs, suited to all levels, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, whether you train at home, in a home gym with body weight, or in a fully equipped gym. You'll have everything you need to structure your comeback. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to start. The link is in the description. Start gently, get back into it at your own pace, and above all, reconnect with yourself. Because it's not enough to just want it. You have to take action, even if it's small, even if you're tired, especially if you're tired, actually. We're men, and we don't have the luxury of losing ourselves for too long, but on the other hand, we always have the right to write a new chapter. So we don't give up, and we always keep moving forward.